Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome to another episode of A Few Quality Moments Around the Shabbat Table with the Rabbi's Son. It's good to be with you this day. It is a beautiful autumn day in the Northern Hemisphere. So for all of you in the Northern Hemisphere, enjoy this beautiful changing of the leaves and changing of the seasons. For those of you in the Southern Hemisphere, you will also be enjoying a change in the seasons, but it'll be a little different variety than we're about to entertain. You'll see life springing forth everywhere and reminding you that the creation is still working. The Creator is still in charge. His Creator's plan is still in effect. So, welcome to you all, and today we have the privilege of rejoining our quest, our great quest for the answers to life's most important questions. Joining that quest in progress, coming together to sit around the Shabbat table with the Rabbi's Son for a little while on a special Sabbath day to discuss and to consider and to meditate upon the truths and the wisdom that the Creator desires for us to have and to apply to day-to-day lifetime situations in ways that will bring Him honor and glory and bring tikkun olam, the fixing of the world, as well as tikkun nefesh, the fixing, the healing of the individual broken soul, to bear upon life in our day, in our time, in our world. Today, we are in Parsha Tetze. That is the 49th of the 54 Parshas of Torah. So the address you will be looking for this at, if you're trying to get your Bibles out, is Deuteronomy 21, verse 10, through chapter 25 of Deuteronomy, verse 19. So we've got about 5 or so chapters. And we're now looking in this Parsha for the answers to life's most important questions. It's just waiting for us to discover it. It's been there for a long, long time, waiting for someone who wanted to find the answers. It's in the Torah, right where the Holy One left it. 2 weeks ago, as we began this last push of the Torah, the last momentum drive of the Torah, Moshe began to open our eyes by sharing with us his diverging pathways vision. It's a whole discourse arising out of this vision that he tries to project to us, where he shows us that two pathways are diverging before our very eyes. Wherever we may be at a given moment, particularly at this time and in this season of our lives, the pathway before us is diverging. We have two options we can choose from. The high road is the way of the king, the way of the bridegroom king, the way of the Torah, or the low road. The other route we could choose as the pathways diverge is the road of the runaway bride, of the nations that rage, of the peoples that imagine vain things. It is the broad road that leads many multitudes to destruction. So here is the choice. The pathways are diverging. The vision is explained, and we should see that our choices at these critical crossroads moments will determine the quality of influence and impact we have upon the world. There are two pathways. There is the narrow road, and then there are the broad path. There are two ways to approach and experience mortal life, Moshe might say. Two ways to approach and experience mortal life. You choose which one of those approaches, which one of those ways of experiencing mortal life you wish for yourself and for your household and for your family and for your bloodline and for your community and for your neighborhood and for your friends and nation. Okay, so you make the choice. We get to make the choice. That's the key factor of the Torah in general. The key answer to life's most important question is we have a choice. The choice is laid out for us. But we don't have unending choices. We have two choices. We have two pathways. We have the Torah pathway, the narrow path that leads to life, health, and peace. And we have the broad path, the way of the raging nations and the vain imagining peoples that leads to death and destruction. So there's two ways to approach mortal life and two ways to experience it, two ways to interpret it. There are, along these two ways, there are break points. You can leave one and go to the other. Leave one path and go to the other. Break points. And these breakaway points, we can make choices, though we had previously chosen to follow the narrow way or the broad path, we can make another decision. We can make teshuvah. We can change our mind. We can change our approach. We can change our direction, and we can go from one to the other. So there are break points, high and low road landmarks along the way. And what we do at those critical choices, when we get to those critical break points, that will also determine the quality of impact and influence we'll have from that point forward upon life. Then last week, after the 2 weeks ago in the diverging pathways discourse was laid out for us, then last week in Shoftim, he gave us these break points that show us what societal structures we should implement. We should be implementing from the lowest level to the highest level, at the micro level to the macro level, and it starts with heaven's courts, patterned components. We should take that which we see in the heavenlies and experience in the heavenly realms, because we're dual citizens. We have citizenship in heaven, we have citizenship upon the earth. We should take that which we learn and see in the heavens and bring it to the earth, pattern something on earth that looks like what we saw and experienced in the heavenly realms. We should be so familiar, so conversant with the heavenly protocols, the heavenly courtiership, courtesanship, that we should easily transition that into the earth, item by item, day by day, moment by moment, situation by situation, breakpoint by breakpoint. So heaven's courts pattern components are essential to us continuing to build out and stay on the narrow road. And that includes infrastructure models, such as what we do in our gates and what we do, with our elders, and what we do with the king, and how we relate to and who is the king, and who we make king, and who we choose to declare and serve as our king, and who we consider a prophet, and who we see as just making noise and trying to be spiritual. Who are these people? This is what we learned last week in Parsha Shoftim about the infrastructure of the kingdom of heaven-centered society. Heaven's courts, patterns, components brought to the earth. And we also learned about the models of leadership. How is someone supposed to lead? If we're going to be forerunners, if we're going to be examples, if we're going to be models, if we're going to be encouragers or inspirers and guides in this process of bringing heaven to earth and spreading that out to other people, how are we to model leadership? That was discussed last week in Parsha Shoftim. If you didn't see that particular discussion, I encourage you to go back and take a look at it before the day, the Shabbat, is over. That's from Parsha number 48, Shoftim. This week, though, we're in Parsha Tetze. We're moving on in the great context. This is a great story that's unfolding before our eyes. Moshe is giving us his magnum opus, his last download before he should pass away, before he dies, before his mortal body ceases to function. He is giving us his magnum opus, his legacy upon the earth, the book of Deuteronomy in general, and particularly this discourse, this two pathways, diverging pathways discourse. He wants to talk to us this week about dual citizenship. What does it mean that we have a citizenship on earth as well as our citizenship that we have in heaven, in the heavenly realms, in the heavenly courts, in the heavenly chambers? What does it mean that we are also citizens of planet Earth? We're also citizens of various nations. We're also citizens of various cities, citizens of various neighborhoods, where citizenship is mixed, is dual here. And we have to function here as well as we do whenever we go and we sit in the heavenly realms and we join with the four living creatures and the 24 elders and the cherubim and the seraphim in giving honor and praise to the Holy One and planning and plotting out the way in which the world can be healed, redeemed, restored into its Edenic state. So Moshe is training us on dual citizenship. What is our responsibilities upon the earth? What is kingdom of heaven-centered civic duty? What is kingdom of heaven-centered civic responsibility? What are civics in the kingdom of heaven-centered sense? Moshe is training us how to make healthy and how not to make unhealthy choices at life's critical crossroads. You see, we're not living in an ivory tower. We're not dwelling in a utopia. We are deployed in a war zone, in a series of war zones. Everywhere we go, we have this deployment, this instruction to bring the kingdom of heaven sent its fragrance and its healing power and its gentleness and its love and its kindness and its wisdom into the realm of ordinary life. And so we will be involved with civic duties. We'll have civic responsibilities, and you will not be focused upon our own individual desires or pleasures. We are bringing the kingdom of heaven to the earth. That's our mission. And so we're given a series of rules of engagement. As we travel along the narrow road, as we seek to bring the kingdom of heaven centered society, the courts of heaven with its beauty and majesty and wisdom down to the earth in practical situations, we have rules of engagement. We are not to be loose cannons. We're not to be vigilantes roaming the earth trying to get our will. We're not judges. We're here as good soldiers to do the will of the one who sent us, and to do that in such a way that brings about the objectives of the kingdom, which is to bring about healing and restoration, tikkun nefesh, the healing of the individual broken soul of man and woman and child, and the tikkun olam, the healing of the ecosystem of earth and of the universe as he created it. So as ambassadors of our King, we have civic duties. We need to be able to see situations for what they are from the Holy One's eyes, see controversies, and see difficult challenges of life in every context, in every way it's presented to us, to see those things through the eyes of the Holy One and through the lens of his objectives of tikkun nefesh and tikkun olam. Bigger than just the individuals involved, bigger than just the situation and the moment that's involved, bigger things than that. The way the Holy One would look at every situation we might face. As ambassadors of the King, we have civic duties to bring the secret scent, the sweet secret scent of the kingdom of heaven to earth, and apply these tikkun olam approaches he tells us about. Moshe will give us tikkun olam approaches to consider in Parsha Tetze, and then again next week in Parsha Kitavo. And these are, if you will listen to me, beloved, if you will hear, these are the same kingdom of heaven-centered approaches that we first learned about at the time of the giving of the Torah, Matan Torah, on 6 Sivan, in the year of the Exodus. Whenever the Holy One spoke, he appeared on Mount Sinai, and he spoke in all of the hearing of everyone gathered there. He spoke for men to hear his own voice speaking out the 10 words, the Aseret Hadibrot. And these 10 tikkun olam approaches to life are what will bring the kingdom of heaven-centered society to bear, the kingdom of heaven-centered tikkun olam approaches to bear in one flashpoint situation of earth and at a time. And we're going to find out, and Moshe is going to make it very clear over and over again in Parshas Tetze and next week in Kitavo, that we are not called to live in an ivory tower, a utopian castle, or a hermit's cabin. We are called to live publicly. We are not to imagine that we can control anyone in or anything about this world that he has created, but we are to not cease to engage with it. We are to not cease to try to bring the kingdom of heaven's scent and approaches to the problems of the world. You see, we have been dispatched, sent out by the creator of the universe into the ordinary world, the normal world, a groaning, reeling ecosystem, groaning in eager expectation for the sons of God to be revealed. Yes. So we've been sent into this groaning, reeling ecosystem that is full of badly broken people. Do you recognize it? This is where we've been sent. This is our mission field. This is our area of influence that we're sent out to bring the kingdom of heaven sent to. So we are sent into a groaning, reeling ecosystem full of badly broken people who are acting out their toxicity in the worst ways imaginable. That's our duty. That's our civic duty. That's our job. Our job is to bring good news and hope of a more excellent way and a more excellent way of living to both the groaning, reeling ecosystem and the badly broken people in it who are acting out at the present time in the worst ways imaginable. Now this job, this assignment, this task is unbelievably rewarding, my friends. but it is anything but easy. So Moshe is giving us a critical strategic briefing session, speaking to us through the medium of his Torah, of that which he has written, inscribed on scrolls, but he is speaking to us as if it was there, personally present in our room, talking to us. A critical strategic briefing session in which he is going to instruct us how to effectively establish and maintain the kingdom's command center, beachhead, portal of Kedusha entry into the world. We are called to go forth. We're not called to sit still. We're called to go forth. We're not called to the status quo. We're called to change the status quo. We're called to go forth, to yatzah, and to do so not on our own with our own priorities and our own agendas, but to go as diplomats of the king's courts, which we should know very well. As bearers of good tidings. Do you have good tidings? Is that what you're telling the world? Is that what's coming out of your mouth and off the facial expressions and the body language you use? Are you communicating good tidings to the world? Peace on earth, goodwill toward men. Are we reflecting the angelic host? Peace on earth, goodwill toward men. Are we bearers of good tidings of peace and goodwill? Are we coming as agents of healing or as agents of destruction? Are we coming as agents of judgment or are we coming as agents of reconciliation and restoration? What are we? Who are you? We are coming forth as diplomats of the king's courts. How do you think we're supposed to present ourselves? And what do you think our objectives should be? We come forth, we're going forth, offering heaven's redemption, heaven's restoration, heaven's simcha, its joy, and heaven's shalom. We're being sent into the killing fields of this world, of this age, of this fallen state of mankind. We're being sent to raging nations. We're being sent to vain imagination-obsessed people. We're being sent to broken families and broken homes and broken bloodlines. We're sent to the diseased and the dissatisfied and the disaffected and the defeated. We're sent to the emotionally overwhelmed. We're sent to the fleshly indulgence overexposed. We're sent to the sensually overstimulated. We're sent to the darkness seduced. We're sent to the materiality obsessed and greedy. We're sent to the ethnically offended and easily offended at everything that comes out because of their ethnicity and their teachings about their ethnicity, the brainwashing that's taking place. We're sent to the ideologically brainwashed. We're sent to the propaganda, indoctrination, deceived, and brainwashed. We're sent to the pseudo-intellectually arrogant, think that they know everything in the world. We're sent to these people. We're sent to them, not as conquerors, but as wise as serpents, as harmless as doves, as healers. The goal is not ever to overreact in the flesh to things we see that are wrong or bad. The goal is to de-escalate, to offer another more excellent way, to encourage, to inspire, and empower others with kingdom vision and the kingdom's tools. Now, how does this assignment work? Our assignment as the diplomats of the kingdom of heaven involves repeated 6-day-long immersion assignments. We have 7-day sequences, and 6 of those 7 days every day, every week of our lives, we are assigned 6-day-long immersion assignments. We immerse for 6 days. Shesh Yamim. We have immersed in society and its darkness and its perversion and its focus, wrong focuses for 6 days every 7 days. 7th day, we heal ourselves. We get back into the Kedusha infusion. We return to the citizenship of heaven and try to practice that citizenship and that courtiership and that courtesanship all that 24-hour period of Shabbat. So, during our immersion assignments, the 6-day immersion assignments, we have to find ways to positively interact with people that are broken, families and bloodlines that are dysfunctional, nations that are raging, ethnicities that are caught up in their own narcissism about themselves, households that are not functioning well, institutions that are misleading and deceiving the people, workplaces that are toxic, political, economic, educational, informational, and religious systems that are full of propaganda and indoctrination and not anything of the kingdom of heaven. Shooks, shops, and markets and streets and forums that are full of nonsense and vanity and folly, masquerading as intelligence and wisdom and information. We're sent in our 6-day-long immersion assignments to these situations, and they are corrupt. They are. And the people have been corrupted that are in them. And they are toxic, and they will kill whoever gets in them. They are deceitful. They are not based upon truth. They present themselves. They masquerade under the guise of knowledge, of awakening, of enlightenment, of wokeness, of all sorts of things. But it's all deception. It's all lies. It's dangerously dysfunctional. And it's sometimes, for us, downright hostile. Yes, that's what we're sent to. 6 days every week we're sent to immerse ourselves and bring some scent of heaven into those circumstances. So we must understand at the outset that sometimes this mission is so hard, so difficult, so challenging that we will not always be successful in our kingdom efforts at diplomacy. And we will be left with no option but war. War? We'll talk about that a lot in Parsha Tetze. War. Really? War. Even then, when we're engaged in war, we must maintain mission focus. We must maintain objective orientation. We must maintain our intent to minimize both casualties of war and collateral damage from war. We're not here to make the world worse. We're not here to leave scorched earth. We're not here to do damage. Not here to do destruction. We're here to do hayah, to bring life, health, and peace. We are to fight the good fight. It's not a fight of anger. It's not a fight of vengeance. It's not a fight of punishment. The good fight is a fight of emunah. King James Version of English calls it faith. We are to fight the good fight of faith, of carrying the life force of the Holy One from the heavenlies into the earth. If we're to fight this good fight of emunah, of faith, in this behind enemy lines mission we've been assigned for 6 days of every week, we must learn some things about civic responsibility. Kingdom of Heaven scented civic responsibility. We must learn not to get baited into fruitless arguments and taking sides in offenses that will be forgotten in weeks and days and hours. We must not get baited into fruitless arguments and controversies. We must not get sucked into other people's temporal drama based upon their emotions and their feelings in a given moment. We must not also be seduced by the folly fever. The world is under an infection, a pandemic of folly fever. They see folly and they want it, and it infects them and everything they do. And once they taste folly, they can't release it. They can't forget it. It's like a dog that's eaten a live chicken. It can't quit wanting to eat live chickens. So that's what we're not supposed to get involved in. We're not here. We're not here for either conquest or vengeance. We're not here to return raw for raw, evil for evil, King James would say. We're not here to do that. We're here to stop the downward spiral. We're here to do it by applying healing energy found in the Torah of all places. The healing energy of the words of the living God that carry his Kedusha, healing, restorative energy into the world. We're called to apply the healing energy of Torah where it is needed most in the world, and that's the killing fields, where it is needed most urgently. And then as we do so, as we apply the healing energy of the Torah, that begins to counterbalance and offset and ultimately overcome Ra with Tov, evil with good, as it said in English. Shakat with Zedakah, corruption with righteousness, it would be in English. Hamas, we overcome, counterbalance, offset, and overcome Hamas, or violence, or cruelty, with chesed, loving kindness, and covenant faithfulness. We overcome erva, nakedness, exposure, the negative implications of seeing horrible things and judging them. Erva, we overcome that with kippurim, with coverings that heal and restore. We overcome that which is cold, that which is common and profane, with that which is holy. Kedusha is what we overcome and counterbalance that which is tameh, is unclean, is fragmented and not focused on the healing of the world. That which is tamah, we overcome that and replace it with tahora. We overcome vanity with the weightiness of the kingdom, the kavod. We overcome folly, the whole fever of folly, with chokmah, the wisdom of the Holy One, practical skills of dealing with life's problems. So welcome to Parsha Tetze. It begins when you go out to war with your enemies. Well, that's where we are. This is our time of war. This is our time to understand that we are deployed for a strategic purpose, and we have rules of engagement that we must use and employ, not just go out with our weapons trying to hurt people. There are two primary themes that Moshe will hit in Parsha Tetze. The first one is that we must not hide ourselves. We can't book passage to Tarshish. We can't avoid the conflicts. We can't presume that we can live in some ivory tower or some hermit's cabin. We must not hide ourselves. We must be here, present, and accounted for, and reporting for duty on these 6-day deployments in the killing fields. We must not hide ourselves. That's theme number one. Theme number two is that for us, with regard to us and our families and our households and our communities, we must put away that which is raw, that which is the ultimate issue of humanity, that which is evil, that which is self-absorbed and self-obsessed and narcissistic. We must put this away from our midst, from us. We can't carry that into the world, into our deployment. We must find ways to deal with it effectively, bringing to bear the healing power of the words of the Torah, the healing power of the Kedusha energy of God. So, as we get ready to get deeper into Parsha Tetze and its specific languages and its words and its directives, we have to ask ourselves, what exactly are we going to read and study? Are these things commandments? Are the things that we're going to read about commandments? Are they mitzvot in Hebrew? Are they directives that we must follow, or are they something else? What kind of words are these? Are they perhaps consider? Are they mishpatim? Are they mashalim? Are they proverbs? Are they things to get us to meditate and think? Are they parables, as Yeshua might use? He keeps going, if a man, if this person, if this happens. That's the key language of the parable, of the mashal. Okay, so consider that these may not be mitzvot or laws or commandments in any sense that you're thinking. What we're about to read, what we're about to study in Parsha Tetze, consider that it could just possibly be parables designed to make us think, meditate, and see, go back to what we know is our base of operations, our base of reality, our base of truth, and then begin to apply that through the scenario to bit by bit. You see, the Holy One loves to use stories. Who doesn't love a good story? Who doesn't learn from a good story if you really get the story? What if stories is what I call these. Hypotheticals, parables, kingdom of heaven, mashalim, all designed to prepare us for our present deployment and also for Messiah's reign. You see, one day, the things that we're talking about in these parables or in these stories or in these discussions and these hypotheticals that Moshe is about to lay out for us in Parsha Tetze, these things will be dealt with in Messiah's reign. On the earth is 1,000-year reign. So these things that he gives us, these parables, these mashalim, are to make us think outside our comfort zones, to lift our eyes off of the demands and the screaming of mortality and flesh and pseudo-intellect El Camino del Rey, the way of the king, back to the narrow path, back to the kingdom of heaven scented society we're supposed to build, back to why we're here, to think outside the comfort zone and the mortality of flesh and the pseudo-intellect zone, to refocus ourselves on the king. These are designed to help us to overcome our attraction-revulsion reflexes. That's what the flesh does. Attraction-revulsion is all in the flesh. We know these are killing fields and these are ugly things and these are people acting out in horrible ways. They know that going in, right? So attraction-revulsion should not be what we base our actions or our words or our behaviors or even our approaches and our demeanor on. We should not have emotional reactions, because the world is all full of emotional reactions, and they think that's the way it should be, but it is not. We are to react according to how can we make this turn into tikkun olam? How can we bring about good, work all things together for good for those who love the Holy One, who are called according to His purpose? How can we turn this to tikkun olam and tikkun nefesh? And in so doing, these parables are designed to reconnect us to testimonies, stories from the lives of the patriarchs. We're going to read things like, if a man has two wives and one is loved and the other unloved, does that sound familiar to anyone who knows the stories and the testimonies of the patriarchs? How about Yaakov's relationship? And it was not chosen by him, but was given to him by Laban, and he had two wives, and he loved one, and he unloved, in a sense, the other one. And then we see it plays itself out. And they have children, both have children. And which ones does he prefer? And we see these things out of the lives of the patriarchs are coming to bear, brought to bear. He says, I gave you these stories from the beginning, these testimonies from the beginning, to teach you, to cause you to think, to cause you to understand the principles, the application of the ways of the king, and how it can be messed up really badly at these critical junctures, these dropping off points of life. And of course, most of all, He's going to redirect us through these mashalim to applying the Aseret Hadibrot, the 10 priorities that are given to us of life, that are given to us, spelled out for us in the Aseret Hadibrot, the 10 words, so many times mischaracterized, misnamed as the 10 commandments. Okay, that's all. That's a good start. Let's do our call to worship. Take a breath. I'll take one too. Let's get our focus beyond the things of earth, beyond the 6 days of striving. And let's turn our focus to the heavenly courts, to the one who sits upon the throne. And let us bless Him together with the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Adonai Hamborak. Baruch Adonai Hamborak Leolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bakar Banu Mikol Ha'amin V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah. Amen. Amen. And now may you open our eyes, O Holy One, that we all may see wondrous things in your Torah. We are just strangers in this earth, so do not hide your mitzvah, your instructions from us. In the closing lines of last week's Parsha Shoftim, 21 of Deuteronomy, 21st chapter of Deuteronomy, at verse 9. He said, you must put away the guilt of innocent blood. This is Moshe speaking to us about opening up this door of the civic responsibility. You must put away the guilt of innocent blood, of Dam Naki, from among you that cries out to the Holy One, like the blood of Hevel did when he was slain by Cain in Genesis 4:10. You must put away the guilt of this innocent blood from among you. When you do what is yashar, by doing what is straight, what is right in the eyes of the Holy One. What is the Torah? What is laid out for you in the disciplines and the ways of the Holy One? So that was our ways. We ended Parsha Shoftim, carrying on with this theme of civic responsibility, Now we have the opening lines of Parsha Tetze, Deuteronomy 21, verse 10. Are you ready? Tetze lemilchama al oiveka. When you go out and extend yourself and make war on your enemy. Whoa, what a start. When you go out and extend yourself and make war on your enemy. Unetanu Adonai Eloheka b'yadeka, and the Holy One then entrust them into your hands. Wow. B'shavita shivyo, and you capture captives. V'ra'ivat b'shivya eshet yafat toar, and you see among these captives a beautiful, shapely woman, Esha. V'kashakta ba v'lakakta leisha, and you desire her, and you would take her for your personal woman, your wife. Wow, wow, wow. These are fraught with, this is killing field stuff. This is deep, deep challenge to the spirit. Will the neshama rule here? Will the nefesh, the mind, will, and emotions rule here? Or will the basar, the flesh, the urges, the appetites, the animal-like nature of man, what will rise to the top? Where will we find the scent of heaven? How can we redeem the situation? War is hard. And taking victory is difficult and challenging. Oh, it's the hardest thing. It's harder than losing is winning the battles and having people entrusted into their lives, entrusted into your hands, their futures, their bloodlines entrusted into your hands. And then the capture and captives you. And then among the captives, then what happened? You see, he said, you see among the captives a beautiful, shapely woman. Now, what are the implications of this? What parts of the 10 words, the Aseret HaDibrot, the 10 commandments, are implicated by what you see among the captives? A beautiful, shapely woman. Why is that important? Why is he putting that element into this story of war and of this story of victory and this story of captives? Why, he's talking about a beautiful, shapely woman because he knows that's going to engender certain things in our flesh and perhaps in our pseudo-intellect. And you desire her. Ooh, this is when the mind, the will, and the emotions and agendas begin to kick into play. And you would, if you would, your flesh, your mood would say, take her to be your wife, take her to be your very personal woman, maybe whatever you concubine, whatever you want to call it. Oh, Isha, in this situation. Whoa, we have just entered the difficult areas of life zone. Challenges to every facet of who you are and why you are here. Will you be an agent of healing and restoration? Will you bring tikkun nefesh to this beautiful, shapely woman captive? And to her bloodline and her family, and to those people who she knows, her friends, her circle of influence. Will you bring that? Or will you bring something else into your own family, into your own home, into your own culture, into your own village when you go back home? What are you bringing back? What kind of situation will she be in? What poison will she be bringing with her or beginning to inflict on the world? You see the issues here. This is parable time. This is mashal. These are stories that would cross a rabbi's eyes, and Moshe is giving it to us. And so in each of these, there's 74 of these mashalim in Parsha Tetze. We can't talk about them all. You won't be able to talk about them all if you spend the entire day discussing this. We're not supposed to worry about getting through them all. We're not supposed to conquer this Parsha. We're supposed to be conquered by it. We'll read whatever, and we'll study, and we'll meditate on it, and we'll discuss with our friends whatever the Holy One needs to get to the heart of our situation. He will implicate the 10 kingdom priorities that were revealed in the Aseret HaDibrot. And if you want to know how to evaluate these, don't rush ahead to the sentence or to the judgment or to the end of the sentence. Don't skip the pages. to get to the end to see what the result is. No, understand the significance and the issues that are really presented before you get to the last statement of whatever is supposed to be done in a given situation. How do we do this? What are we applying? What are we supposed to be using to apply to these difficult situations, these dysfunctional situations, these dangerous crossroads situations? What are we supposed to be applying? The 10 kingdom priorities of the Aseret HaDibrot. What's the first one? I am the Holy One, your God, who led you out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage to be your God. This is the issue of the identity and the resume and the sovereignty rights of the Holy One. What has he done for you? If we are redeemed people, we behave differently because we're redeemed. If we're redeemed by the creator of the universe, the most holy, the most wonderful, the most loving, the most kind, the most wise of all, then we will begin to apply it. This is about applying the identity, the resume, and the sovereignty rights of the Holy One. The second thing, what is it? And you are to have no other gods before me, before my face. Oh, this is exclusive. The second kingdom priority that we're supposed to apply is, wait a minute, we're supposed to be totally focused upon the Holy One. Devakut, we're supposed to be becoming one with him, not letting things distract us from our affection for him, our attention to him, our use of our creativity. We're not supposed to make images or mold things that are in the heavens or on the earth or under the waters or under the earth. We're not supposed to be doing that because we're supposed to be exclusively dedicating all of our heart, our affection, our attention, and our creativity to the use of the creator of the universe. It's not about our flesh. It's not about our desires. It's not about our self-expression. It's not about our wants and our agendas. It's about bringing devakut, becoming one with the Holy Ones. That's the second of the kingdom priorities. How do we apply that to these situations? You'll be tested on that. The third thing we're supposed to do is, as the diplomats of the heaven, is to bring no dishonor or disrespect to his name. And you shall not profane the name of the Holy One. You shall not blaspheme the name of the Holy One. You will bring no dishonor. Now, not utter his name, not use his name in vain. Now, the call to bring no dishonor, no disrespect to his name. Oh, every situation that we're going to face, everything he's going to read about, all these 74 mashalim, these 74 hypotheticals he's going to throw out to us in Parsha Tetze, will invoke all these three issues we've just talked about, including how can we not bring dishonor and disrespect to his name. The fourth of the kingdom priorities of the Aseret HaDibrot is how to orient our whole life approach and all of our activities, center them around, focus them on the Creator's seventh day creation plan and his Kedusha infusion invitation. Every 7 days we're invited to come. Now, if we take the beautiful woman to be our wife, how will that impact our ability and our willingness and our desire and our participation in this Kedusha infusion invitation? Will she be able to join us in that, or will she distract us from that? You see the issue of the kingdom priority. Everything we face, every situation we face, will have to consider the fourth issue of the kingdom priorities of orienting all life approaches and activities around the Creator's seventh day Kedusha infusion invitation. The fifth of the kingdom priorities we need to apply to all these scenarios is the call to respect and honor parents, our own and to some degree outside of our own others. How will we honor the parents of this captive woman if she's taken? What will we do to honor her parents, to encourage her to honor her parents? Because we're supposed to be communicating and infecting other people with this kingdom heaven-scented approach to life. So if we're supposed to respect and honor our parents, how will we help her to respect and bring honor to her parents and anyone else's situation, anyone else's parents in the world as we deal with these killing fields, very difficult challenges of life within our 6-day deployments. The next thing is, how can we refrain from causing death or injury? I know the 10 words, as they're written in English, cause you to believe, thou shalt not kill, is what they think. This word kill is the Hebrew word that you need to focus on, the Hebrew picture. You know, English is always designed to limit in application. Hebrew is always designed to open up parameters and see far beyond what the English would ever show you. And so when it says thou shalt not kill in English, from the Hebrew standpoint, it means don't cause any death or injury or damage to fellow human beings. Cause no harm. How can we not cause harm in the situations that are? How can we avoid making things worse for the people and the bloodlines and the families and the environments and the communities that we're looking at? How can we do that? This is a call on 10 kingdom priorities. The seventh, how can we overcome and not surrender to and take captive itself animal-like lust, the fleshly desire to do things outside the context of the Holy One's plan for our lives, which is holy and beautiful and good, and instead want our animal lust to be applied to the current moment and situation and person because we can, because we want to. How can we overcome voyeurism and animal-like lust? That's one of the 10 kingdom priorities. Thou shalt not commit adultery, it says in the English versions of the portion of the 10 words. Then the next one is the kingdom priority to respect the property rights and interests of others. The property rights, interests, and expectations of others are as important. We don't just take things because we can. We understand that the Holy One has allocated properties and rights among the world, and they have legitimate expectations and callings and responsibilities, and we're not supposed to interfere with those things, take the property of others, or prevent them from being able, not help them, as a matter of fact, not even, we're not to forsake helping them to deal with their own property rights and interests. Okay, so the ninth of the 10 kingdom priorities that are revealed in the Aseret HaDibrot, the 10 commandments, are the call to learn to govern our tongues and not speak deceptively, and not speak at all sometimes if it will be deceptive. To govern our tongues. How do we apply this? Let the Holy One put words in our mouth. Let His words come off of our tongue, not our own. We are diplomats of the kingdom. We don't get to speak our own plan, our own opinion, our own will, our own agenda. We are speaking on behalf of our King, and we cannot put our own feelings or emotions or opinions into that. Govern our tongues and not speak deceptively. Thou shalt not bear false witness, I believe it's written in English. And the 10th of the kingdom priorities, overriding all of them, is the call to subordinate our urges, all of them, our appetites, all of them, our desires, all of them, our desires to conquer, to control, our desires to acquire, to enjoy, our desires to possess other people or anything assigned to them, subordinate all that to the will of the Holy One and to the covenantal rights and legitimate expectations others have, not to covet, as it says in the English versions of the Torah. Well, these are the 10 kingdom priorities. You might want to take a deep breath and consider those in all the different scenarios, all the different mashalim, all the different proverbs and parables that were given in Parsha Ki Tetze, one by one. What is the first mashal? Well, mashal number one, the hypothetical number one, the story number one, men at war. Men of the kingdom at war. Why? Why? We should not even, aren't we men of peace, men of shalom? Why are we even talking about it? Because we live in a fallen world. We live in a world where sometimes we have no choice but war. Now let's go back to the first incidents of war and the people of God's purpose and objective as motivated by the creator of the universe. We'll see if we can understand some secret of war. What was the first? The first was Genesis chapter 14. If you remember, the kings of the north came and invaded the kings of the south, and they captured all the wealth of Sodom, and they took with them not just the wealth of Sodom, but they took with them Lot, Abraham's nephew Lot. They took with them Lot's wife, a beautiful woman. They took with them his 2 daughters, and they took them as captives. Does this story mean anything to you now? War, captives, Lot, his wife, his little girls. And then we can go further to other parts of the kingdom story. Prince Shechem from the city of Shechem, and he took Dinah, and the king of Arad took captives whenever they attacked us along the way after the Exodus. You see, this is a normal thing. And sometimes the issue of war. Let's go back to the first time when the first war that the covenant people were involved in was when Abraham went and rescued Lot, his wife, and his girls from the kings of the north. What was the objective of the war? To free the captives, to bring back the captivity of those who were under the auspices of the covenant, to free those who were taken captive and abused, That was always the objective of life. We're at war. Sometimes war is necessary. There is a time of peace, but there's also a time of war. When is war necessary? When it is necessary to go and redeem, rescue the captives. And that is our objective, and that is our mission. We should not be sidetracked by other things when that happens. The world is full of distractions. The world is full of seductions. The world is full of other things that we could be excited about or interested in. But our mission is to rescue the captives. Are you into it? Are you ready for that? So, if we are going to have war to rescue the captives, that's the only reason. What is milk? What is it? What do we do? It's what raging nations do, right? It's what vain imagination obsessed people do. What has it got to do with us? Well, it's so foreign to us that in 1 Kings 5:3, we learn that Shlomo was talking about his father David. He says, my father could not build the house of the Holy One. He could not bring the fullness of the kingdom of heaven into manifest form to the earth. He could not do that because of the wars. Because he had engaged in so many wars with the people. You see, it's dangerous territory when we start talking about wars. No room for pride here. No room for arrogance. No room for cruelty. This is about rescuing captives, and that's all it is. When it becomes something more, we are accountable for that. So what causes war among the nations, among the peoples? Do we understand why they... See, we don't really have a choice in war. As Psalm 120, verse 6 through 7 says, David is speaking, my soul has dwelt too long with one who rejects peace, rejects shalom. I am for shalom, David said. But whenever I speak, whenever I act, whenever I debar, they are for war. These nations, these peoples, they are not under the same shalom. They're not dual citizens of heaven and earth. They don't see the heavenly ways. So they are for war. That's what they do. But where do wars and fights come from among you? James, Yaakov, and the Brit Hadashah will tell us. James 4:1. Where do wars and fights come from among you? Do they not come from your desires for pleasure that war in you, in your members? We understand that war is not an ideal state. War is not a state we hope to accomplish anything other than deliverance of captives. So as we go into the world in our 6-day deployments, our task is to tread lightly, keep our head on a swivel, follow protocol and instructions from heaven, have each other's sixes, do no unnecessary harm, and free the captives. See them not as objectives to achieve, conquest to overcome. See them as needing redemption and restoration. And only place they can get it is through people of the covenant. Beloved, my time with you is about over. So thank you for joining me on this Shabbat for a few quality moments around the Shabbat table with the Rabbi's son. I pray that our first early discussions on Tetze will spur in you many more discussions around your own Shabbat tables, around your communities and your fellowships as you meet and you gather. If you have them, or if you're online, if you're having online fellowships, have your discussions be about these things and apply the 10 kingdom priorities that are specified in the Aseret HaDibrot to every difficult situation we may face in our 6-day deployments on earth. Blessed be the Holy One, our God. See you next week. Amen.